Welcome to A Space to Speak Your Mind,
a radio programme and a podcast about mental health and wellbeing,
made by people with lived experience as part of a wellbeing group run by Cornwall Mind.
We do occasionally cover subjects that some listeners may find distressing.
For more information, help and support, please visit cornwallmind.org.
A Space to Speak Your Mind with Cornwall Mind.
I'm Abby.
I'm Emma.
I'm Victoria.
I'm Karen.
I'm Clare, and I'm going to be joined by Jane Moss, who is going to talk about how creative writing can help your mental health and general well-being.
We'll be joined by Sarah, who will share her lived experience around ADHD and autism.
And I'll be speaking with Alex from the Lodge in Falmouth to find out how having a conversation in a coffee shop can make the difference with your mental health on a daily basis. Plus, I'll be chatting to Lobo, a gamer buddy of mine, and finding out how the gaming community helps him with his mental health.
A Space to Speak Your Mind with Cornwall Mind.
As new figures from the Health Service show, nearly 6 in 10 people who may have a mental health condition, such as PTSD, OCD, social anxiety and body dysmorphia, are putting off seeking help because they're worried it's not serious enough, while 1 in 5 didn't seek help. I'm joined by Neil to hear about his experience, and from GP Dr Nighat Arif to discuss the issue and the call from the NHS for people to seek mental health support.
A Space to Speak Your Mind.
So, Dr Nighat, can you tell us about the new study and the NHS programme that's now been put forward?
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me. The new NHS poll that they did revealed actually some quite worrying blind spots when it comes to public awareness around common mental health conditions which are linked to anxiety. So the common mental health conditions that people just say, oh, it's just a little bit or a little bit of that or a little bit of this are things like OCD. So people downplay the symptoms of obsessive compulsive disorder or social anxiety disorder or PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, panic disorder, and also body dysmorphia. I think out of all of those conditions, they're so hidden. So what we want to do with this campaign is make sure that people, A, have awareness of them, but also where to seek help.
Do you think people actually understand the conditions themselves?
I think with enough information that's out there now, social media has been driving the conversation a lot. Individuals are recognizing symptoms. So, for example, understanding that frequent obsessive thoughts, over-worrying, having heart palpitations, being anxious all the time in a situation where normally they wouldn't be, does signify to them, and they understand that that's part of their mental health. They might not understand exactly what condition it is, but that's why Talking Therapies is there for individuals to seek support. So A, maybe they can get a diagnosis, but also tools on how to cope with that rumination of thought, over-worrying, fear, panic, anxiety, lack of sleep, or lack of self-esteem.
What do you think the barriers are in people seeking the help?
I think the biggest barrier is understanding and the awareness, which is what this poll showed, that people, 34% of the population don't understand what body dysmorphia is. And the reason is because they probably have never come across it, or we think it only affects a certain gender, particularly girls. When in my general practice and my clinics, I'm seeing most boys being affected when it comes to body dysmorphia. So finding something about their physical appearance that they don't like, and then really getting fixated on that. The other barrier is access to care. So the Talking Therapies, which is available for free, it's confidential. You can self-refer without having to wait to be referred. It doesn't require you to have a GP appointment. Your loved one or somebody like that could actually look at what symptoms you're having, track them and go, okay, let's self-refer and see what help is available.
And are the GPs well versed now on all the different kind of conditions and the access to therapies?
Yes, it's the NICE guidelines have updated in regards to guidance and support and care. In general practice, mental health is a part of a huge module that's part of the RCGP training tools that we have. I've partaken in that as a GP myself who works in the NHS. And yes, we can always do more. I'm not saying that everybody probably is across every single condition. Also, some of these mental health conditions can be really subtle in their signs. The mind is great at covering up stuff or tricking you into thinking, you're okay, you don't need any support. And then actually physically you're going, actually, I'm really struggling. And because it's not on a linear stage, you can have spells where you're better, spells where it's bad, and the symptoms don't come together. They come as hodgepodge kind of symptoms. It's really difficult sometimes to find a strand that says, actually, this might be a mental health condition. As GPs, our job is to make sure that there are all the other organic conditions. So maybe doing a blood test, we rule out those and then find support with our patient that works for them in regards to their mental health.
Neil, can you tell us a bit about your background with social anxiety?
Yeah, I mean, it started quite young for me. Even at school, I think I struggled a bit. I was absolutely terrified of being asked a question in class, and I probably wasn't the only one, but I did feel very difficult. And at lunchtime at school, I didn't know what was wrong with me, but I didn't like having lunch with the others. I felt very anxious. And so I used to cycle home 2 miles at lunchtimes rather than spend lunch with other people. And when I got to university, it was similar. Again, I had no idea that it wasn't just me. I did think I was the only one that got so stressed in just ordinary social situations, and it affected, my whole adult life.
Yeah, how did it go on to affect you with like work and things?
Yeah, work, I was okay, funnily enough. I could talk about work things relatively well, although I wasn't good at all the banter within an office. I didn't like it. I'd rather have just worked on my computer and not had to interact, because I did find it raised my anxiety level. And when I go to lunch was the hardest part of the day, because suddenly I was put in a difficult situation with other people chatting away quite happily and me feeling stressed. So I did feel different, and it was hard.
It's horrible. And I read that you looked on the internet in 1999. And then after that, when was it that you went to a GP and found out what was going on?
Relatively soon. I mean, the moment I got on the internet, I typed in anxious in social situations. Even then, there was information. And just knowing that the condition existed and it wasn't just me was a massive help. And, 5 or 6 years after that, I chose to take the NHS talking therapy, and it was really helpful because it made me focus on my issues rather than just running around feeling I didn't have a structure about how I might make progress. The therapist gave me skills and techniques and made me do outdoor experiments like talking to people in queues or talking to 3 people a day. And it just made me push myself. And I formed a self-help group down in Exeter, and it took me forward.
Yeah, I was reading that you set up a charity, is that right?
Yeah, eventually. I mean, I did the self-help group. Awareness is quite low. So even when some of us set up self-help groups, even now with awareness quite low, you don't necessarily get that many people joining right this minute. But we need to encourage more groups in every city so people can meet each other and make progress. And yeah, set up a charity. No one else seemed to have done it. It's one of the few conditions that until recently didn't have a charity. So yes, we set one up. Social Anxiety Alliance, if you type it into Google or any search engine, you'll find the charity, and we've got information about the condition, about some of the support groups that do exist, and about how to access NHS therapy. But as Nighat said, it's really self-referral or via a GP. So it's quite easy to refer yourself and begin to make progress.
That's fantastic. So you really do feel that the access really helped you and has really led to some kind of life-changing conclusions, really?
Yeah, I mean, it took time. It wasn't as if I got better just in those 10 or 12 weeks. It took time, but all the skills and techniques and learning to change and think differently and approach difficult situations differently and just fully engage, don't think about your anxiety, just focus on the people and the conversation and all these different skills over time. Yeah, really, really helped me.
Amazing. Coming back to you, Nighat, what do you think is the biggest tool to kind of really help everyone with this access?
The biggest tool is going to be tracking your symptoms and understanding that actually you're not alone and these symptoms could have a possible reason or a diagnosis. And most importantly, there are places in the NHS where confidentially and for free, you can seek support with this. So, for example, making sure that you tap into the online self-referral by going to nhs.uk/talk and you fill out the questionnaire, and somebody, a trained professional, will be in touch with you so they can go through either cognitive behavioural therapy, they might offer you face-to-face, they might offer you a group conversation because a problem shared is a problem halved, to make sure that you're getting as much support as possible. And sometimes just online or even a video call is appropriate, especially if you have social anxiety as well. I think the key thing is to understand you are not alone and there is support available on the NHS. I would just say that a lot of people feel that their symptoms aren't something to be bothering the NHS for. And I just want to make sure that everybody understands that if there is anxiety that's stopping you from living your life to the fullest potential and it's hindering you, you are not alone. I validate those symptoms that you're experiencing. And so there is support available by going to nhs.uk/talk.
And I encourage everyone when they feel ready to try and get some help.
A space to speak your mind with Cornwall Mind.
Hi, so I'm Clare and I'm joined by Jane Moss, who is going to talk about how creative writing can help your mental health and general well-being. So she has volunteered running counselling services with how to support people who are going through bereavement. She's also written a book, Writing in Bereavement, a Creative Handbook, a practical guide for counsellors, therapists, volunteers and others involved in helping people after bereavement. So we're going to learn all about that today. And now we're welcoming Jane Moss to the show.
A space to speak your mind with Cornwall Mind.
Hi Jane, welcome to the show. So what is your background in writing for well-being?
Right. Well, I got into this about 15, 16 years ago. I did a creative writing MA in West London, and that introduced me to this whole field, which is known as writing for well-being, or it's sometimes known as writing for health and therapeutic reasons. And it's where writers work with counselling groups in places like hospices. They're part of social prescribing by GPs, or they're working with a whole range of health and social care organisations. I started working with bereavement teams at that point and found that there were lots of ways in which writing could help people.
So tell us, how can writing for self-expression help people feel better and look after themselves when they're struggling with their mental health?
Really, really good question. There's quite a lot of research on this, which has shown that when people are struggling to talk about feelings, thoughts, low mood, depression, that kind of thing, being able to write it down is actually quite a useful form of release. And the great thing about this kind of writing is you're not trying to produce anything perfect, like a finished story or a poem, although you might. It's much more about allowing yourself the freedom, using just a pen and a piece of paper, to get down on the page anything that is in your head, in your thoughts, on your mind, the things that are keeping you awake at night, that are worrying you. If you get it down, literally with handwriting, there's something that happens between the head and the arm and the hand, and you can see it on the page. It's separate from you. You feel the relief of that. And people's blood pressure comes down. People over time are better able to manage symptoms such as anxiety. People are even able to come off antidepressant medication over time.
Oh, wow, and it's amazing. So life-changing.
It is amazing. It's completely private as well. Nobody has to see it but you. So you can say whatever you want to say, get it out of your head and off your heart.
And so you've run writing groups with the bereavement counselling teams in Surrey and London. Tell us a bit about those.
Yes, I did. I mean, that was a fantastic opportunity that came about as a result of this course I was doing. Princess Alice Hospice has a number of hospices in the West London area. I approached the one at Epsom, where they have an absolutely fantastic counselling team. Now, they provide support to friends and family after somebody has died under the hospice's care, because, after a while, people may find that they would benefit from some support while they're going through their grieving. And they were very interested, as was I, in seeing if we could get a writing group going. And so we did. And it was very much an experiment on my part, but in collaboration with the counselling team. And we had weekly groups with about 6 women. It was all women at that point. And we tried out all different kinds of writing, short kinds of writing around themes, writing about food, writing about family, writing things that are known as unsent letters, keeping gratitude journals. And in their garden, they have a beautiful garden, as hospices often do. They had a thing called a poetry So it was a tree hung with poems. So we could write poems and hang them on the tree like a form of memorial. Lots and lots of different ways. And that went on, I think, for about 6 months. And it led to me doing similar projects with Macmillan team at the Meadowbank Hospice, which is part of Ealing Hospital, also in West London. And I went on to do groups with Crew's Bereavement Care and other organisations like that.
Is it correct that you have a book that you have written called Writing Bereavement, a Creative Handbook?
I do indeed. One of the wonderful things that came out of that experience of working with those groups was that there are a lot of handbooks and a lot of literature and research to do with the ways in which writing can help people express themselves. But there wasn't really anything particularly for bereavement. And I thought that's really interesting because it's a bit of a gap. And having had this experience with these groups, those people were kind enough to give me permission to write about it and to use some of their examples. So it's published by Jessica Kingsley Publishers. It's called Writing in Bereavement, a Creative Handbook. And it came out, a while ago now, it was 2012, but it's still incredibly relevant. And I still from time to time run training workshops and short courses for bereavement counselling teams who want to think about how they might be able to use writing with some of their clients and their own, and maybe start up their own groups as well. It's an idea that seems to have found its place alongside some of the other art therapies that people enjoy and benefit from.
Sounds incredibly rewarding what you've achieved through the counselling guidance you've given.
It is rewarding in the sense that, somebody can arrive for a group meeting, let's say, and you can just see that they're really struggling. Bereavement, it's not like a physical illness and it's not like a mental health problem either, but it can have features of all of those things in that you feel very tired, you feel very flat, very low, as if you're walking around under a cloud. Your thoughts are all over the place. And many times I saw people arrive to a group session as if they were almost having to physically drag themselves there. But in the course of the 2 hours we spent together, there would be moments when it was as if the sun was coming out for them. And there were moments of little breakthrough. And I remember one young woman, she was in her 20s and she'd been widowed. And at the end of the session, I remember her saying, I didn't expect to find myself writing about hope this evening, but that's what I feel now. Which was extraordinary. Brilliant. That's the kind of shift that getting words down on the page and seeing them for yourself and feeling the relief of having got that down, that's the difference it can make for some people.
So how are we able to contact you and know more about your writing for wellbeing and training?
Well, I have a website, which is very simple. It's my name, janemoss.com. And there's information on that about all kinds of writing activities, which I'm involved with, from the writing retreat, which I run with my colleague Kath Morgan in Falmouth, which is courses and retreats and online support as well for people who are writing novels, short stories, that's much more to do with creative writing. But there's also information there about the training I run and this book.
Thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been very insightful.
You're really welcome. It's been lovely to talk to you.
A space to speak your mind with Cornwall Mind.
Right, so today I'm joined by my gamer friend Lobo, who lives in the States. So give us a brief background of your experiences with mental health, please.
I guess mine would be like PTSD from stuff that I've been through. When I joined the military back when I was a little lad. So when I got out 12 years later, I had already was going through a divorce. It was pretty much a divorce already, it just hadn't been finalized. And I had started, doing self-destruction, just like trying anything possible just to screw up my life. And my therapist at the VA, he said I need to get a hobby, which I did have a hobby before. I loved working on cars and racing cars and stuff, and I just lost it because when your head's somewhere else, you forget everything that you love. So I got into gaming again. I had been into gaming before, but it was just on like the Xbox, and I got out of that, whatever. And the first game that I played was Mobile Strike, And I liked it, but I think it was more like he said it was to keep my head occupied, whatever. But I think it was more like a camaraderie thing, you know what I mean? Because I missed it, I guess. And yeah, in my line of work, what I do, we are pretty close because you have to trust the other guy next to you. But it's not like the way you were with a group of guys, stationed with a group of guys. You know, that was a daily thing every day. But in this line of work, it's like things change. Things change every week. People change every week. But yeah, then I met you in PNS. I don't know if you remember, but I had just lost my grandchild. Maybe like 8 months or a year, almost a year that I started with y'all. And then I started taking it hard again. I don't know if you remember. There'd be days that I would just go on binge drinking. I don't know if you remember. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember you telling me bits about this, but I think at that time we were still only really talking on Alliance chat at the time.
Yeah. But I mean, other people knew because they're like, dang, you're on this thing 24/7 or whatever. But then when I lost my granddaughter, then it was like another hit, you know. And they had me on 2 different types of medication. The doctor called them the I don't give a F pills. And literally you take them and you really didn't give a F. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think one of them was acetylphetamine or something like that. And the other one was it was an antidepressant and an anti-anxiety. But then I think those were just like masking the what I was going through. So I had stopped them, and it was hard to stop because they say some of those things aren't addictive, but to me they are. I think they are, but that's pretty much it. Just gaming just really helped with people that new people that you meet, stay in contact with, and it's like a little family, I guess. And it does help. Minus the medication, because sometimes when I was on the medication, I didn't even know what the hell I did the day before on the game.
In general, would you say that gaming has helped you manage your mental health on a daily basis?
Yes, it has. I know if I go into that dark place again, it's hard to get out. And like you get your free time and stuff, and you're just on the game and you're just chatting with people, joking. You know, it's a camaraderie thing to me, I guess. But you do meet people, different people, and I mean, I've seen it. There's people that help each other out, and you don't even know them. You know what I mean? They're halfway across the world. But it's just a friendship thing, and you get to trusting people. There's people that you can't trust, but I mean, so far I've had a good experience, and I really believe it's helped.
It's been great to talk to you about the gaming in general, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. And thank you for talking to us at a space to speak your mind. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a good day too.
A space to speak your mind with Cornwall Mind.
We've just heard from Lobo and Emma. What a pleasure it was to hear about gaming. What are people's thoughts on this conversation that we're having here?
I really liked it. I thought it was excellent. Obviously, he's had some things in life happen, like bereavement, which is horrible. He was ex-military, so he's got like a PTSD. One thing I got from listening to the interview as an overall theme is, I think if you're used to working with people who really support you on a level where it could affect your life, when you come out of that, you miss that contact. You miss being with a group of people who are there for you, you can chat to, you can trust them. And I think with the gaming network overall, it seems like he found that within that group, which was great.
Yeah, it sounded like a really safe place to be as well. You know, interaction is so important for the mind, isn't it? If we're not talking about anything and we're not talking to anyone, then we can self-isolate ourselves without realising it and end up in a bubble of our own world, which, you know, for a couple months might be okay, but long term, primitively, we're meant for human interaction, whether that be online, in person, whatever model. It doesn't matter as long as you're out there involving yourself in a team of people that have like minds. It's interesting, it really is, because some people it might be a hobby team-based in sport, some people it might be gaming, some people it might be a bit of both, but it really doesn't matter because the main thing here is social, isn't it? The social. There's a lot of doctors that do the social prescribing now, which has taken flight. I know that they do litter picking at Falmouth Beach, they do other group swims, etc. And this is really just to mingle with people, because we need to be amongst our own people. You know, if you're just on your own all the time, then and you do have other stresses, then you're going to be engrossed in your own stress and with no one to outlet it. Expression is really important, and the main way that humans express themselves is through social interaction and verbalising it. Then you kind of can leave it to the day behind and move on to the next day.
I totally get that. It's almost like a safety net, isn't it? Maybe you're still going to feel low at times, but having that safety net of people beneath you stops you from literally going all the way down, which is really important.
Would you agree with that, Emma?
Having known Lobo for almost a year now, he has really helped bring me out my shell, because I was ready to quit that game. But him and a few other people, especially over the most recent months, they've stepped in where I'm missing on. I mean, I'm a sociable person. I like to be out and about. But with all the mobility problems I've been having lately, I've not been able to get out and about as much, and it does play on my mind. So being able to just sign in and speak to whoever's on at the time, have a joke, have a laugh, it's really, really helpful. It feels strange if there's certain people that are not online anymore. It's all, okay, where's that person? So I've made a couple of really strong outside of the game friendships now, and it's great. It really is great.
How did you find about this game? How did it come into your life?
It's daft, but I was trying to look for ways just to make a tiny bit of extra gift vouchers. Found a game site online where you play games, you get points, you can convert them into gift vouchers and stuff. And so it
actually started from one thing and then led you into helping you throughout many other things. You went in there with one intention and came out with new friends and a connection to an outer world out of our nationality. That's impressive.
Oh yeah, my geography over the United States has definitely improved.
That's amazing. I just wanted to check, how do you stop yourself from doing too much online, or is there not such a thing?
Sometimes it can be difficult. If I'm having a really bad day, it can be difficult to pull myself away from the game, but then I remind myself that I need to get out. I'd rather be gaming than doing anything else that could be more destructive, that's for sure.
And it's a good commitment to have. If you do have a bad day, you can return to your gaming and feel secure in it, because it's a safe place, isn't it?
Yeah, and I totally get the mobility side, where sometimes you can't get out, you're just too much in pain, you're not able to do it, and at least you know there's a community network that you can reach out to and interact with, which is really vitally important.
Yeah.
A space to speak your mind.
Today I'm with Alex from The Lodge in Falmouth. Hi Alex.
Hello.
So, would you like to tell us a bit more about how you found yourself in this business?
Yeah, so I started off, I was studying massage therapy, Swedish massage therapy. I loved espresso, didn't have any interest in setting up a coffee shop because I know how expensive and how horrible the industry is to try and break into. There was a kiosk in the park, and I think it was, I made an off comment saying, oh yeah, I'd love to do something like that, because it seemed like really, really fun. And at the time I found there wasn't too many people doing good espresso. And I think I was with my mum at the time, and she knew the mum of the guy who previously owned it. And yeah, then when he sold, he said he'd give me first refusal, and I think it was like a phone call at like 10 o'clock in the night or something, saying like, oh yeah, I'm going to sell it, give me your first refusal, let me know by the end of the evening. And I was like, oh my, and I'd just come home from massage, I was like dripping with sweat, and got a notepad, just write all the little things that could go well, what wouldn't go well, and went for it. And yeah, I was there for about 7-8 years, I think, and absolutely loved it. You feel right at home in the community. It's such a front-facing job, and customers became friends, and there was always prospects of this place where we are now, the Lodge, which was an old park keeper's house, being made into some sort of cafe. I think it was going to be a Jamie Oliver restaurant at one point, but then that fell through. They've always said about it, there's a lot of like funding issues as well, because it was an old building, it was a house before. And then Source FM, which the guys next door, they generated the funding, and they're in the back end of the building, and now there's a full-fledged cafe here.
During the process and now, how would you feel that your mental health has changed?
I would say it's done the world of good for me. I got into massage initially because of mental health. So I found there was some really good benefits in getting a massage, whether that be just the circulation going through you, or just having someone physically there and that connection with people. And I did massage because I wanted to help other people who were in similar situations where they have poor mental health. And there's so many benefits, even things like oils and stuff you can tailor to people's mental health, and aromatherapy was really interesting to me. And then doing this, it's as anyone who has a cafe or works in a cafe or even just has a shop knows, long hours. It's you're waking up early, you're never really switched off, constantly thinking about work. But despite that, the connections that you make with people are absolutely amazing. You never get someone who comes in who doesn't want to be there. They want to come in because they want a coffee, or they come in because they want to have a chat. And not only the routine of doing this, but also just the amount of amazing people you meet every day and get to share stories with and hear other people's life. And especially when someone's I've got a big test coming up, really nervous about it, and you sort of hype them up oh, you're going to do great, and then they come in the next day and they say if they've passed it or failed it or whatever. So I think anything like this, the routine is really important for your mental health for sure, but then just constantly surrounding yourself with good, happy people is really big. So yeah, it's improved my mental health exponentially, and people around me as well, I think, hopefully.
I can only speak for myself, but knowing you has been great, and you've been really helpful for me over the years that we've known each other.
Thank you.
I remember last week overhearing a conversation that you were having with another customer, and you mentioned something about how mental health can often feel like a foreign language.
Yeah, so I've got maybe I've just heard this somewhere else and I'm just regenerating it, but especially with things like therapy, the thoughts you have in your head, obviously you're speaking to yourself in English, sometimes you have your self-dialogue, but the thoughts and feelings that you have in your head, they're not necessarily English, you just feel them. So with therapy, or just with speaking to someone about how you're feeling, your brain has to then translate all these thoughts and feelings that you've got inside that are not necessarily English into English, and then speak it out. So I think with any sort of mental health, having someone to speak to instantly reframes it rather than a conscious thing, because it's got to go through all these filters that you've got to make it legible for someone else to hear. So I think with any sort of mental health, just speaking to your mate or speaking to a therapist really helps, even if they don't say anything back, because you're then reframing it yourself, and from that you can hopefully find an alternative way to tackle how you're feeling. You might understand yourself a bit better. That's a really convoluted way to say have a chat with your mates.
Thank you. And what are your hopes for the future with regards to this place, your mental health? What would you like to do?
In regards to mental health, I think I'm really blimmin' happy at the minute. Keep continuing what I'm doing, keep being happy. I don't see much change in there, hopefully. But in regards to this, the lodge, I want to really create a community hub. I think that's something that's really exciting for me. So getting more events in here. It's tricky because coffee is an expensive thing. So to get someone to come down every day for a coffee is tough, and people do it. And thank you to those people. But I want to make a space where people don't have to pay money to come in. So things like doing board game nights, things like having events here in the evening time, that's something that's really appealing to me, where it gives people who might not want to spend money each week to come down and do something. I mean, very long term, maybe I'd love to get a coffee roaster. That would be ideal, but they're really expensive. But getting cheaper, so I'll wait for a few years and see what happens. But the possibilities are endless. And who knows what life's going to throw at me. They said next door to for me going on doing a show, so maybe in a year's time I'll be got my own radio show and promoting this business. Who knows?
Well, thank you for talking to me today, for a space to speak your mind, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much, you too.
A space to speak your mind with Cornwall Mind.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I wanted to come on to chat about my experience with ADHD and autism. I'm going to be talking a little bit about functioning, like how my mind processes daily life, and attention spans, regulating the attention, not lack of attention, I must say. Time blindness, understanding how long things take, emotional dysregulation, things like rejection sensitivity, difficulty calming down once triggered. Also working memory issues, so forgetting what I'm doing mid-task and losing items constantly. And motivation differences, so things like tasks feel impossible until something clicks, and talking about how willpower alone doesn't work. I also want to talk a little bit about strengths of ADHD, because there is strengths, and it's really important to highlight that in today's talk, because I'll go into it a little bit more in a minute, but just highlighting the fact that part of the strengths of ADHD is problem solving, hyper-focus, and the ability to be empathic. So I'll go into that in a minute. And just how it affects my daily life. Things like household tasks, routines, just feeling different and misunderstood. And the strategies, the coping strategies that actually help me with ADHD. And I also want to talk a little bit about autism. And for me, my journey of autism has been mainly in the sensory input and communication styles, how I communicate and how I am with other people in social settings. So a little bit about executive function challenges. So how I process. It is definitely hard to get myself motivated for something, for a task, and how I process instructions, possibly for example, putting some furniture together. Starting tasks generally like housework. It could be anything really. So I find that really hard to motivate myself. I kind of feel like I'm paralysed sometimes in my mind. I sit on the sofa and I think, okay, I need to do all this stuff. I need to do this housework, or I need to go do shopping, or I need to phone up a company for bills and sort out the bills side of things, which is extremely important. It can be put off for months in the sense of phoning a company to sort out a bill. I also find it hard to prioritise what needs to be started first. It's like I feel stuck sometimes in my mind. I don't know how to move. My body feels numb sometimes when I have a bit of an overload of tasks to do in a day. I can sit down and just be like, okay, well, which one do I need to do first? Which one's more important? And how am I going to start this? And it's very upsetting for myself because I feel like I am stuck for a couple minutes. It could be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or I could be thinking, okay, well, I'm going to get to that in a minute, and I might pick up my phone, might scroll on social media or go on YouTube, whatever. And by the time I've done that, I then realise time has ticked by and I've lost the opportunity to do a certain task, or I'm behind in a deadline and things start falling behind. So that is something that affects me quite a lot. And I do forget steps. If someone was to say to me, I want you to do this and this is how you're going to do it, and there's instructions to follow, for me, I can't take those instructions in very easily. I have to kind of repeat them in my mind a few times, or ask someone to say them again, or I literally just forget them and I hope for the best. I lose track of time quite easily, especially when I'm hyper-focused, which I'll talk about in a minute. So that kind of coincides with getting tasks done. Like I say, if I've put my mind to something else, like scrolling on social media or doing another task that's easier, something that I don't have to put much effort in. But it's not so much about the effort, it's about eliminating the struggle, unparalysing myself in the sense of the feeling of being paralysed, stuck, can't move my body. I find a task that I'm used to doing or something that I enjoy. So that can be a pro and a con, because obviously if you're going off to do a task that you really enjoy, it's great for yourself at that point. But like I say, tasks get put behind. And yeah, I feel very overwhelmed by having too much to do. Having a lot to do in a day. There's so much stuff. I like I say, my mind literally closes down. I can't filter through things and I get panicked and quite overwhelmed. So yeah, and also going on to the attention side of things. A little bit about my background. When I was really young, I used to be quite hyper. They say hyper. That's I've noticed that's quite a word that's attached to ADHD. But yeah, I used to be quite energetic, quite bouncy, quite wanting to be in everything, doing anything, and talking so much and being so excited. And I found that for me, a lot of people around me didn't really like me like that. They couldn't handle my energy. I've had a few people say at a younger age that I was too much for them. And, it grains on you after a while. So being younger and having that input of telling me that I'm too much over and over, I then decided that obviously at some point, I don't remember exactly when obviously, but I became quite quiet in myself. I'd gone from being an energetic child wanting to do everything, being really active and talking so much, because I've worked out talking for me is when I'm in my passion. It's a form of hyperfocus. You're like, oh my God, I love this so much, chat, 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 chat. And for some people, they can't cope with that. And as a child, being told that you're too much, when you're passionate about something, you go into yourself. And I became quite shy. I didn't really engage that much with others. I kept myself to myself. I learnt, I guess, a survival mechanism is to be quiet and become small, not be expressive, not be this energetic child. So where does the energy go? It goes into the mind. For me, it went inattentive ADHD. So I suppressed all that and it went internally, which did cause anxiety and depression the whole of my life because my thoughts were in overdrive, and they still are. So the attention regulation, it's things like hard to focus on boring tasks. So I think because I suppressed my energetic, bouncy, hyper side internally, that coincided with the attention regulation in a general form, in the sense of whether you are expressing externally or your energy or expressing internally, you do still have an attention regulation in the sense of it's hard to focus, whether you're expressing it externally or internally. So hard to focus on boring tasks, and then your mind wanders off. You're like, okay, so this person in front of me is chatting away and telling me to do something, but my mind is somewhere else right now. And then you forget and you don't hear certain things that's being said to you. Or, you know, in school for me, I was sat in some of the lessons, I didn't particularly enjoy history or geography or maths. Maths for me was the worst. And my mind would wander and I'd miss half the lesson, and obviously my grades would suffer from that. So it all has a ripple effect, and the opposite to that is hyperfocus. So you're hyperfocusing on stuff that you love, and it's like, I love drawing. I'm a graphite artist, so I love drawing. Draw motorbikes, again, a passion of mine, and I could talk about them for hours and hours. I love writing. I've started writing 2 books, and I can talk about writing and, you know, different techniques to write. So when I'm in a state of an interest, something that's full on passionate, I will talk about it for hours, and that is the point where some other people that aren't interested in that subject might say, oh my God, you know, she's talking so long, it's like she's too much for me. So we're all different. I'm learning now, as I'm older now, people have different perspectives and everyone is different. But yeah, along with the attention regulation, you get easily distracted as well. So I could be walking down the road with my partner and he's telling me something, and then I was like, oh, wait a minute, babe. Look at that, that's amazing. Look how beautiful that is. And it's like you're noticing other stuff around you, other things. Like it could be something like a beautiful church, or something tiny like some flowers in a hedge or something, like in a hedgerow, or just something that I've seen. And I'm like, oh, I'm really, you know, I find myself apologising because obviously he's there telling me something, and my mind's just like, oh, wow, look at that, that's amazing. And then it's like, oh, sorry, what was it you were saying? So yeah, you can get easily distracted, and yeah, your mind starts jumping between thoughts. And it's like, whoa. So yeah, it's really important to mention that the ADHD is about inconsistent attention, but it's not about insufficient attention. Because a lot of people I've noticed when I've been growing up have believed that I've been rude to them. You're not listening to what I'm saying. Why are you not listening? I've had to repeat myself like 2-3 times. How rude are you and stuff? And it's like, this isn't my fault. This is something that I'm experiencing. And for me, it was quite hard because obviously I'm quite empathic, and to feel that I might have upset someone, it's not an intention, you know, it's just something that I'm experiencing. I also wanted to talk about time blindness. So it feels like sometimes to me it's like now or not now. I find it hard to kind of like schedule how long things are going to take. Sometimes I find it hard to plan ahead. It's kind of balancing time generally. I find, because obviously I've put off a lot of tasks previously, like I've said, I'm rushing at the last minute. Rushing at the last minute gives a lot of dopamine. You get a big dopamine hit from, oh my God, quick, I need to do everything really, really, oh quick, I'm running out of time. And then your whole body is like fueled from dopamine. It's like, it's a rush because you've left it to the last minute. And sometimes that's the only motivation that I can get to actually accomplish things. So the dopamine is a massive part of ADHD. It kind of is the lead in a way, in the sense of getting yourself motivated. You need to find things, which I'll discuss in a little while, about things that help me. But you need to help yourself through thinking about what can give you the dopamine. The dopamine hit, I guess, that will help you get through a task that you're struggling with. Quick example, just what I use is kind of stopping every 20 minutes if you're studying or something, or midway through doing housework. Stop after 20 minutes, give yourself a 5-minute break, go make a cup of tea or go for a little walk around the house or just out in your garden or wherever. It's breaking the task down. You've done a little chunk. It's like, oh my God, okay, I've done 20 minutes. That's great. And then you have 5 minutes to yourself or a 10-minute break in between. And then you'll be able to go back to the task after that. So that's something I'll talk about in a minute.
A space to speak your mind with Cornwell Mind.
Another thing that I wanted to mention that I experience is strong emotional reactions to things. And I can feel quite intensely of different things. And one of them is rejection sensitivity. It does go hand in hand with ADHD. Not everyone experiences it, but it's quite common. So I can get triggered quite easily feeling rejected. So it could be something small that someone said to me, oh, I'm not free that day, I need to plan another day. Or I need to cancel plans today. Sorry, I'm doing something else, or this has cropped up. And sometimes I can feel rejection at a deeper level. It's intense. It can trigger off other things from my past as well, and it ripple effects in to my emotional state. So it can play into the emotions more on a deeper level, and calming down from being triggered, it can be quite intense. I think you can spiral into self-doubt, anxiety, depression, and be in that for maybe even a couple of days to a week if it's really intense. And that's something I've experienced quite a lot. It can feel quite scary when you're in this spiral, and I'll talk about ways of how it's helped me get out of the spiral, but just wanted to say one of them is talking to someone close to you. It's either talking to someone close to you or it's doing a grounding technique. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So 5 things in the room you can see, 4 things that you can hear, taste, touch, smell. It's grounding your senses because your body is in a overwhelmed state. So you need to ground yourself. But yeah, it can be quite scary to be dysregulated and not knowing what to do at that point. So it's really important to get some sticky notes or something, or like a reminder that's in your house or somewhere that you can carry around in your purse or something, or in a wallet or something that you can just look at when you're in an anxious state, overwhelmed and dysregulated, or a friend that you can message or phone. So yeah, the emotions can be quite intense when triggered. And yeah, another one is forgetting what I'm doing mid-task. I could just be so focused on the task that I'm doing, then all of a sudden I'm like, what is the goal from this task? Why am I doing this? And I'm like literally having to go back to the original plan of, at the beginning, like, okay, I can see what I'm doing, I can see where I am, I can see where I'm going next. It's like, it's memory issues in a way, I guess. I'm needing little reminders of where I'm going, what I'm doing, and writing lists down as well is really good to remember things, and having alarms as well, that's a good one. And yeah, one of the things that I find quite hard is holding multiple steps in my mind, which is similar to what I said then, just forgetting mid-task. It's like, okay, well, I can only probably do about 2 or 3 steps at a time. Then I'm like, I don't know what's next, I don't know what's coming. I just want to work where I am right now and do what I'm doing now before I think about what's happening 4 or 5 steps down the line, because that totally overwhelms me and I can't filter it. So yeah, that's where like lists and alarms and reminders come in, or you can break things down. This is what I'm doing over the next couple of days. These are my first few steps, and then this is where I'm going to go next week or next month. Right now I'm just focusing on today, this hour, this minute, just right now, where I am in the present moment. So grounding is extremely helpful. Novelty items are amazing. Quirky little things, fidget toys, things like this remind me of my childhood. They bring excitement and they bring me little dopamine hits. They're like, oh my God, that's so cute, that's really exciting, I can't wait to do this. Those are the things that help motivate me And another one is when you're doing tasks, you're going along and you think, the tasks feel impossible. They feel like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to do this. I feel overwhelmed. And sometimes you feel like you are going along a task and then something clicks and you're like, oh my God, I understand what I've got to do. I can do this. And you just get this like rush. It can go into a hyperfocus if you feel like you know what you're doing. Eventually, along a task, you're like, okay, I got this now. And you carry that hyperfocus through and complete the task. That's what I love about hyperfocus. It will literally take you to the finish line because you're so passionate about something, or you know how something works, finally like realize what you need to do. That alone will drive you to complete that task. It literally is a superpower because it's an overwhelming feeling that you need to finish something, you need to have something done, and you will go through to the finish line, and it's amazing. And then you get the satisfaction. This is a massive like win. It's a great feeling, and that's one of the plus sides, the positive sides of ADHD. It's something that I've learned about myself because I never really understood why I was like not being able to do stuff that other people can do. I used to be like, well, what's wrong with me? And then I realised it's just because I'm not interested in stuff, but I find something that I am interested in, and then I'm like, okay, that's totally different. I just want to say some of the strengths of ADHD, carrying on from that, is being creative. Like I say, I love drawing, I love being in the creative energy, writing stories, just making stuff up. It's so fun. When you know what you like and what you don't like, that helps you navigate life more. It helps you find yourself. If you really listen and look at your patterns and think, okay, well, what's working for me in one area and what's not working for me in the other area? Why don't I like doing this? And what helps me achieve what I need to achieve, what I need to get to? Find the rhythm, find your flow, find what you really like, your passion. That's where you need to go. Follow your highest excitement. A lot of people will not intentionally, but sometimes intentionally, will try to say that you're not good enough, you're not doing it right, you're doing it the wrong way, you need to be doing it like this. But you're the person that knows yourself. You know how you work, you know how you function, how you process information, and you need to just say, this is how I do it, and it's okay. I can't function the way you function. We are all different people, and it's totally okay to be myself. That's one of the things that I've learned along this journey, because it helps other people learn. It's quite a passionate subject of finding myself, to be honest, like being myself, because for a long time I used to people please because I just was like, I could see that I wasn't fitting in. So I was like, right, I'm going to make myself fit in, then I have to be like them so they like me. And it worked in the sense of they liked me, but I wasn't happy in myself until I discovered that, I have my own way. I have ADHD and I just function differently, and that's okay. I'm really good at problem solving. I love a good problem. I find it really exciting to analyse stuff, to look at things and think, okay, different perspective, different outcomes, complex issues that I can look at and be like, okay, well, how do we sort this out? And you have that hyperfocus superpower. But yeah, I've also noticed as well that having ADHD, if there's a crisis, I kind of can thrive on that. I'm like, right, I know what to do. I know how to help you. I know what you need. There's an intuition feeling like, right, I can help this person or I can solve this problem. And it's really, really good. ADHD generally literally just affects most of my household tasks that I've got to do, how I am in work, attention span. It affects my relationships. It does touch on the communication style because of the attention span. It can affect your mental health in the sense of how you view yourself, because for so long I didn't know what was wrong with me, in the sense of I thought there was something wrong with me. I was like, well, why am I not being like everyone else in the classroom, in school, in work? Another thing that I wanted to say, if I was sat there on the sofa feeling paralysed, numb from all the tasks that I've got to do, I literally would just be like, okay, I've got to do one task at a time. But breaking it down even further, I'm literally just going to stand up. I'm going to stand up. That's what I'm going to do. Just stand up. And then I'm going to walk to the door. And then I'm going to walk to the kitchen. If I've got dishes to do, I'm just going to put one dish in the bowl and wash it and put it on the side. It's literally breaking it down into tiny little tasks that helps you get out of the feeling of being paralysed, that you can't move. You just give yourself a tiny, tiny little task. And it could just literally be standing up. Because it's about getting your body out of the fight or flight feeling of being, oh my God, there's so much to do. I feel so suffocated, overwhelmed and anxious right now. And it's overwhelming my thoughts. I can't even move. Doing a tiny little movement like that will help jolt you. It'll help move you out of the feeling of being stuck.
A space to speak your mind.
Another few things that help me, I just wanted to say, is body doubling. So if you're sat in a room with someone and they're sat next to you, I could sit there doing some, just out of leisure, I sometimes make felted little, cute little bumblebees and butterflies and stuff. I sit there with my friend and she's doing the same thing. She's making her own little creature, an animal. And it's a leisure task, but I can use it for other things. If someone else is in the room and they're doing the same thing, they're just sat with me, it helps to know someone else is there. It's a body double. They're there helping you whilst you're doing a task. Just by being present next to you, either doing the same thing or doing their own thing. It's a supportive way of getting a task done. The timers and the alarms, they're amazing. Although, to be honest with you, it's hit and miss with the alarms, because sometimes my alarms go off and I ignore my own alarm and I'm like, I need to stop doing that. But it's a part of the ADHD, because if you feel like you've been told what to do, you don't want to do it. It becomes a boring task. Yeah, so overall, it's just having compassion for yourself, loving who you are, because we're all different. And to be honest with you, it's like knowing now what I know about being someone that experiences ADHD, I love it now. At first, it frustrated me and I didn't understand what was happening to me. I was late diagnosed with ADHD and I didn't find out until last year. And I'm 39 now. There's a late diagnosis for me, and before I didn't know what was happening. But it wasn't nice. As I was growing up, I didn't know why I was different, in the sense of why I functioned like this. And my friends were totally fine about tasks and working stuff out and subjects, and I didn't understand why I wasn't fitting in. It caused a lot of anxiety and a lot of self-doubt and a lot of self-criticism. But yeah, having that diagnosis has helped me understand that I am okay the way I am, and I've accepted myself. Because what I was doing before, I wasn't accepting myself, I was criticising myself. It's helped me relax, helps me accept who I am and learn about myself more to help myself. And talking about the autism side of things, it's very, very similar. For me, with autism, it's more social cues and sensory input. My senses are extremely heightened. Going into rooms with bright lights, going into shopping centres. When I was younger, I couldn't stay in some of them because it would affect my mind, my head. I'd just be getting headaches, or I couldn't think properly and I'd feel really stressed out. And social cues is huge for me. I don't know how to pick up on cues sometimes, and some conversations are very, very awkward for me, and I don't know how to get out of the awkwardness. And I'm there like, I don't know what to say. I don't look at people in the eye sometimes. I find them very overwhelming when I look at people hold eye contact. I feel intimidated at times by certain people's energies. I say things that are really random, that don't fit into conversations, which is part of the ADHD too, I think, because it's hand in hand in that aspect. But yeah, I just don't really know sometimes how to hold a conversation with someone. And for years and years, that was extremely uncomfortable for me, and I didn't really want to socialise that much because of that, because it was so awkward and it felt very distressing. I get overwhelmed by a lot of noise and being in crowds. Too much people, too much going on. It's a total overwhelm, and I can't filter that through my mind. I can't process the noise. I can't always calm myself down in big, large groups of people. So like I say, I've had to take myself away and ground myself. It gets totally overwhelming, and transitioning between different places is extremely hard for me at times. Going from a really busy place to a quiet house, going from work to back home with the kids, I need to have at least 5 minutes of time for myself, just ground myself. It's all about grounding in the moment. Going for a shower, it's like going from being in nice warm clothes to getting into the shower. The transition period of going from warm to cold to warm, then to warm to cold to warm. It's like, oh my God, I don't want to have a shower. But you have to work through it. You've got to wash yourself. You've got to have good hygiene. And it's like little tasks like that become really overwhelming. I wouldn't have been able to do this podcast probably a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, because I was so self-critical, quite low in myself and not that confident and not knowing how to express myself. But now I'm learning to love myself more. I feel like I'm getting the confidence to share and help other people. Journaling as well. Journal how you feel. Huge help for me. I sit and do like little stick figures and little scenarios and like, okay, this is this. It helps break things down from my mind being so overwhelmed. I sit and journal, and it's like that's helped me so much to work out problems as well, or how I interact with other people and why they're being like that and why I'm being like this. And it's like, okay, well, how do I change how I'm viewing things, or how do I understand how they're like that and how they view their life? So writing stuff down is a really, really good way of helping yourself with any stresses, difficulties, confusions. Sitting down and writing a list of stuff that you don't like, sensory stuff, like the feel of things like blankets and coats and tags on your neck that just tickle and itch, and different laundry detergents and stuff. The smells, favourite candles, lavenders, and I just want to say, being with myself was really hard at first. It was really like impossible because most of my life I self-criticised myself. So being with myself was like, how do I do this? How do I be with myself? I don't want to sit with myself. I don't want to learn about myself. I don't think I'm a very nice person because I don't seem to be fitting in. So obviously there's something wrong with me. It took me quite a long time to actually say, no, it's okay to sit with myself. And you know what, also, it's okay to seek professional help, because I had a counsellor and a therapist to talk through some of this stuff, because it's very, very overwhelming. So there can be shame, self-shame that comes from that, but it's nothing to be shamed about. I've reached out and had lots of help from people to understand why I'm like I am. And then I had my diagnosis. So it leads to good positive change if you allow yourself to go there and get the support. If you don't feel like you can, just use these things like grounding, writing, and journaling just to find out about yourself. Just talk to a friend or a family member, because holding it all in for me has been quite a hard thing to do over the years, and actually finally letting it go and asking for help. It's helped me grow, it's helped me learn about myself, and now I know that there's things that can help me. Take tiny little steps to learn about yourself, and I'm learning now that it's amazing that we're all different because we learn from each other. I've gone through quite a lot in my life, and anxiety and depression, hand in hand with ADHD and autism, they've been a part of that journey, obviously, and it's like, I like to talk a little bit more about different aspects of my life, but today is about my ADHD and autism journey, and I really hope I've helped someone just by speaking out about how I've experienced things. But it's learning, about yourself and choosing the things that you love to do that helps you get through all this. It's accepting you as a person, accept yourself. And yeah, it's hard to do that at times, especially when you've been through a lifetime of criticism. I think I'm going to leave it there for now, but thank you for listening. I'm wishing you all the best and sending you all lots of love. Thank you.
That's all for today's programme. If you missed anything, you can download the podcast right now on Apple, Spotify and Amazon Podcasts.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to hear a new episode when it comes out, or listen back to any of our previous programmes.
For support and more information for better mental health, visit cornwallmind.org or call the Mind Helpline during office hours
on 0300 123 3393,
or call the NHS Crisis Helpline on 111 and then press 2.
This gives you another way to get urgent help if you're struggling with your mental health.
And you can call Samaritans anytime for free on 116 123.
If you'd like to be a part of the show, get in contact
by email, aspacetospeakyourmind@gmail.com.
And you can also find out more about the show if you follow Cornwall Mind on Facebook, Instagram,
or on their website, cornwallmind.org.
A space to speak your mind with Cornwall Mind.